Why did Legion beg Jesus not to torment him? That question sounds strange until the scene opens. Jesus steps out of the boat into the country of the Gerasenes. The ground ahead is not peaceful. It is not safe. Near the tombs lives a man no one can control. Mark says he had an unclean spirit. He lived among the tombs. People had tried to bind him with chains and shackles, but he broke them. No one had the strength to subdue him. This is the kind of man people avoided. This is the kind of place people did not visit unless they had to. And then Jesus comes ashore. Before the crowd understands who Jesus is, the unclean spirit reacts. Mark says that when the man saw Jesus from afar, he ran and fell down before him. The scene is shocking. The man everyone feared is suddenly on the ground in front of Jesus. Then a loud cry comes from him. The words are not casual. They are not curious. They are filled with fear. He cries out to Jesus, the Son of the Most High God, and begs him not to torment him. That is the first mystery. Why is the one who terrified others now terrified? Why does he name Jesus before most people around him understand who Jesus truly is? And why does this encounter begin with begging before it begins with deliverance? Those questions are the doorway into the whole story. The answer begins with authority. The man is not running to a teacher with an opinion. He is not meeting a healer with a method. He is standing before Jesus. Mark does not present Jesus as nervous. Jesus does not negotiate with evil. Jesus commands the unclean spirit to come out of the man. The whole scene flips in a moment. The terror that controlled the man is now exposed before the authority of Christ, and evil knows it. Jesus asks, "What is your name?" The answer is one of the most chilling lines in the Gospel of Mark. "My name is Legion, for we are many." Mark does not give every detail people may want. He does not explain the full mechanics of possession. He does not invite speculation. He tells enough for the viewer to understand the danger. This was not a small problem. This was not a mild struggle. This was a man under overwhelming spiritual oppression. But even Legion does not stand above Jesus. That is what makes the begging so important. Legion does not beg because Jesus is weak. Legion begs because Jesus has authority. The demons know that Jesus is not merely another man passing through the region. They know he has command over them. They know he can send them out. They know his word is final. This is why the title question matters. Why did Legion beg Jesus not to torment him? Because in front of Jesus, even evil understands the chain of command. This is not a contest between equal powers. Mark does not frame the scene as if Jesus is barely holding back darkness. He frames it as command and response. Jesus speaks, and the unclean spirits plead. The demons then beg Jesus not to send them out of the country. Nearby, a great herd of pigs is feeding on the hillside. The unclean spirits beg to be sent into the pigs. Jesus gives them permission. Mark keeps the moment direct. The unclean spirits come out and enter the pigs. The herd rushes down the steep bank into the sea and drowns. It is a terrifying image. It is also a visible sign that something real has happened. The man was not simply calmed down. The unclean spirits came out. Jesus delivered him. The herdsmen run and tell what happened. People come from the city and the country to see for themselves. They arrive expecting chaos, damage, and fear. But then they see the man. He is sitting there. He is clothed. He is in his right mind. And Mark says they were afraid. That detail should stop every viewer. The man is restored and the people are afraid. Why? Because Jesus has not only controlled the uncontrollable, he has revealed a power the crowd cannot manage. Before Jesus came, the people knew what to do with this man. Keep distance, use chains, avoid the tombs, warn others, accept that some things cannot be fixed. But Jesus steps into what everyone else had given up on, and the impossible changes. That kind of power does not make people feel in control. It exposes how little control they ever had. That is uncomfortable. People often prefer a familiar danger over an uncontrollable mercy. A chained man among the tombs is tragic, but at least the crowd knows where to place him. A restored man sitting in peace means Jesus has entered the boundary no one else could cross. The crowd hears the report. They learn what happened to the possessed man. They learn what happened to the pigs. They see the proof sitting in front of them. And instead of asking Jesus to stay, they beg him to leave their region. That is the second great shock of the story. Legion begged Jesus, then the people begged Jesus, but for completely different reasons. Legion begged because he feared Jesus' authority. The people begged because they feared what Jesus' authority had just cost and revealed. This is not a cheap story about fear. It is a story about the kind of power that forces a decision. When Jesus enters the scene, no one stays neutral for long. The demons know him and tremble. The man is restored. The crowd is afraid. And Jesus does not chase applause. As Jesus gets into the boat, the restored man begs to be with him. That request makes sense. The man has gone from torment to peace, from isolation to restoration, from tombs to life. Of course, he wants to stay near the one who saved him. But Jesus gives him a different mission. He does not permit him to come along. Instead, Jesus tells him to go home to his friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for him and how the Lord had mercy on him. That command matters. Jesus does not turn the man into a spectacle. He turns him into a witness. The story does not end with the pigs. It does not end with the frightened crowd. It does not even end with the boat leaving. It ends with a restored man being sent back into real life with a real testimony. Tell them what the Lord has done. Tell them about mercy. Mark says, the man went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. And people marveled. That is the reversal. The man once known for terror is now known for testimony. The one people could not restrain is now sent as a messenger. The place connected with tombs becomes the beginning of public witness. Jesus does not only remove evil, he restores purpose. This is where the story points beyond one shoreline. In Mark's Gospel, Jesus has already shown authority over sickness, sin, storms, and unclean spirits. Mark 1 says people were amazed because Jesus commanded unclean spirits, and they obeyed him. Mark 5 gives that truth a face. Not an abstract idea, not a distant doctrine. A face, a man who had cried among tombs, a man others could not help. A man whose life had become a warning sign to everyone nearby. A man who looked beyond hope sits restored. A legion that seemed overwhelming must ask permission. A crowd that thought it understood fear meets a greater authority than fear itself. The New Testament keeps this same truth clear. Jesus is the stronger one. In Luke 11, he speaks of a stronger man overcoming the strong man. Colossians 1 says, God delivers his people from the domain of darkness and transfers them to the kingdom of his beloved Son. 1 John 3 says the Son of God appeared to destroy the works of the devil. Mark 5 is not random horror. It is a rescue story. It shows that evil is real, but it is not equal with Jesus. That line matters. If the script makes evil look powerful but forgets Christ is greater, it misses Mark's point. If it rushes past the darkness too quickly, it weakens the mercy. The truth is sharper than both mistakes. The darkness is serious, and Jesus is supreme. That is the line this story will not let the viewer miss. Legion is many. Jesus is one. But Legion begs. The number is not the point. The authority is the point. The tombs are not the point. The restoration is the point. The fear is not the point. The mercy is the point. And the man's final assignment is not complicated. Go tell what the Lord has done. So why did Legion beg Jesus not to torment him? Because Legion recognized what the crowd was still learning. Jesus was not stepping onto that shore as a helpless traveler. He was stepping into enemy-held ground as Lord. The demons could rage, but they could not rule over him. They could speak, but they could not command him. They could beg, but they could not stop him. And the man they had ruined was about to become the witness they could not silence. That is the shock of Mark 5. The terrifying man was not the strongest presence in the story. The legion was not the strongest presence in the story. The fear of the crowd was not the strongest presence in the story. Jesus was. And when Jesus stepped ashore, even legion knew it. What shocked you most about Mark 5?